Each year in the United States, thousands of major crimes go unsolved. When the case has gone cold and police have nowhere to turn, they seek assistance from the public. This is a program dedicated to solving these cases. This is Crime Stoppers Case Files.
Every year, crimes go unsolved here in Southern California. Loved ones are left waiting. I'm Benedict, and as a news reporter, I've covered countless crimes, countless homicides, and I know that sometimes victims of these crimes are forgotten almost as quickly as the headlines fade. So tonight on Crime Stoppers Case Files, we take another look at the crimes still lingering unsolved in our communities. Let's get started. It was September 10th, 2011. A group of teenagers are hanging out at a friend's house, just enjoying life, until a car pulls up and opens fire. 4 people are shot, 2 young boys are killed, and it was all caught on surveillance video. The families of Anthony Valle and Nelson Medrano deserve justice.
On a Saturday evening on September 10th, 2011, a drive-by shooting occurred at the corner of 97th Street and Juniper Street, which is across the street from Jordan Downs housing project. 4 individuals were shot that evening during this drive-by shooting. 2 of them died as a result of their wounds, and 2 of them were transported to the hospital and survived. We spoke with several individuals at the location, and during the course of the investigation we learned that the victims were having a small barbecue in a little courtyard area behind the location.
What we were doing, we were actually having a barbecue. And everybody was having a good time, joking around, talking, and everybody was eating too at the same time, just listening to music and just hanging out.
There was approximately 10 to 12 people out there, just enjoying a Saturday evening, nice weather, just a gathering of family and friends. At the time, one of the victims was actually putting the tire back on a vehicle after he had just changed the brakes when he heard gunfire.
I was just finishing it, I was putting the tires on, and all of a sudden I heard like fireworks.
He looked down at the row of fencing and he could see dust coming off of the fence, which he believed was now gunfire as the bullets ripped through the fencing.
3 of my friends fell to the ground. I threw myself down to the ground and I got shot. I seen my friend fighting for his life. It's kind of hard to talk about it.
On that evening, there were 4 victims shot, 2 of them mortally wounded. One, a 16-year-old boy, Anthony Valle, was transported to St. Francis Hospital where he died. The other individual, Nelson Medrano, was shot dead at the scene. A lot of the family members and friends were in shock. They ran to help their friends. Unfortunately for Nelson Medrano, they were unable to help him at all.
Nelson Medrano, he was my friend since like 10th grade, since high school. He used to play football. He was a good kid. He never went out. That was the first time he went out, and when he went out, that's what happened. And Anthony Villa, I wasn't really in touch with him that much. But he was a good kid too, He was a funny kid, He was always happy. And he was just 16 years old.
2 of the other individuals were also transported to St. Francis Hospital where they were treated for gunshot wounds.
That night, I got shot on my right butt cheek. It was painful. The first week, I couldn't walk. For a month, I was in a cane. I'm barely starting to walk again.
We were able to obtain some surveillance video that was taken from across the street at the Jordan Downs housing project. In this surveillance video, we see a small compact vehicle driving westbound on 97th Street. At the time the shooting occurs, you see a flash, which kind of leads us to believe that this could have been a fully automatic weapon. The witness who saw this vehicle prior to the shooting, he described that he thought it might have been a stick shift. We believe it's possibly a Honda or Acura, described as a dark color. The suspects are described as one, a heavy-set male Hispanic with no real description. The suspect shooter is described as a male Hispanic, late teens, early 20s, and he was wearing a hoodie or beanie over his head when the shooting occurred. Also at this time, there was two small children, ages 4 and 6, who were playing in the area. One of them missed being struck by bullet fire, probably within 2 feet. This was not conducted in the typical Hispanic Serrano gang member rules. Years back, the Mexican Mafia put out rules that when a drive-by shooting is done, you have to stop your vehicle and step out of the vehicle prior to shooting. In years past, children were being shot and killed because during the drive-by they just didn't know who they were shooting at. By exiting the vehicle, it made them have to kind of acquire a target and know who they were shooting at. And this is not so much for because they're wonderful people, it's because bad press relations affect those gangs and the Mexican Mafia in serious ways by law enforcement really cracking down when a small child is shot and killed. These victims were not gang members. These victims were not drug dealers. They were just innocent people who have lived at that location for 30 years, who have never had any problems, who don't have criminal history. One of the things we believe occurred was that some of the victims were wearing particular hats that a rival gang in that area would typically wear. And we think that possibly the reason this occurred is because of the hats they were wearing. We're asking for the public's help in solving this crime.
4 people were shot on September 10, 2011. 4 young men who were simply enjoying life. 2 of those young men died. So take a look at this car again. Do you recognize it? Do you know who drives it? These families deserve answers. So pick up the phone, make an anonymous call to Crime Stoppers. When we come back, the story of an aspiring musician murdered just feet from his own home. What you can do next on Crime Stoppers Case Files.
I'm Los Angeles County Sheriff Lee Baca. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department has partnered with the LAPD and other municipal police departments throughout our county to form the Los Angeles Regional Crime Stoppers organization. Crime Stoppers is an important law enforcement tool, a proactive approach to removing dangerous criminals from our streets. Each week on this television program, we will share the facts about unsolved cases, and you will have the opportunity to submit information that may help investigators without ever having to give your name. I encourage you to provide us any information you may have. I thank you for joining us and doing your part to make our community safer.
It's June 7th, 2003. Torrey Jones was walking home to his apartment in Canoga Park. He was approached by a stranger and immediately shot. Torrey was only 23 years old and his family needs your help.
My son Torrey was a wonderful young man. We were a very close-knit family, and he's the oldest of 3. They were all very close. You know, of course, they had the little sibling rivalries here and there, as most typical, you know, brothers and sisters do about different things. But overall, they loved each other. They were there for each other. He was there for them, and they were there for him. And the most wonderful thing about Torrey is that he was always a happy person. Very compassionate young man, very loving and giving. His love of people. Even as a child, he expressed that how he cared about people. He never knew a stranger. Each and every person that came into his presence, he treated them as though he had known them forever. And even some of his friends have even come to me and shared with me how Torrey had even taught them how to approach other nationalities. And just, you know, just care. He was just a very caring and loving person. Sometimes some of his friends got in trouble in the home and their parents would put him out. And he would come to me and ask, Mom, you know, so-and-so got put out, you know, would you mind letting them in? And I would say yes. Our home was always a welcome mat, and whether he knew it or not, he was always expressing love towards others. And that just stems from the morals and values that he was taught as a child, and that was just, instilled with him from our own family values just growing up. He participating in the choir. He's a believer in Christ, as we were all founded in the Lord. Originally, we're from Indiana. We didn't move out here to California until 1994. He went on to graduate from high school, went on to pursue a degree in music at Wilberforce University in Ohio. Came back because he wanted to put further emphasis on his music and do some other, positive things. He was very articulate, very outgoing, always into sports, loved to laugh, loved family, loved life. Just a wonderful young man. It's just heartbreaking that he wasn't allowed to show, the world as a society, the gifts that he had to share. All the greatness that was inside of him that was taken.
Welcome back to the story of Torrey Jones.
On June 7th, 2003, victim Torrey Jones was walking near his apartment complex at the 21400 block of Chase Street in Canoga Park with one other male. It was about 10:45 at night. Almost the entire neighborhood is apartments, residential apartments, and it's a very short block. As the block gets closer to the major intersection, then it turns more industrial. Torrey and his friend were walking west back towards his apartment, and they were approached by the lone male suspect about 100 feet east of where he lived. The suspect approached Mr. Jones and his friend, who said something to the effect of, "What's up?" He produced a medium caliber handgun, wherein the suspect shot Torrey twice in the chest. The suspect then continued on and ran an east direction towards Canoga. Mr. Jones collapsed right there on the scene. The ambulance was summoned, and he was, I believe, he was transported by ambulance, but was pronounced in the ambulance or on the way to the hospital.
I just remember hearing this loud pound on the door, boom, 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 boom. And I went to the door, and one of my neighbors said, "Leela, we need you to come outside, because Torrey's been shot." And my heart just sunk, and I just remember seeing my child lying sprawled out on the sidewalk. And I just assumed he was just unconscious. I was trying to go to him. The paramedics had gotten there, and they already had the crime scene taped off. And I said, "If you just let me go and touch him, he'll get up." And they wouldn't let me go. It hurt so bad. It hurt because I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. What's really more hurting, nobody else saw anything or heard anything either, but all those people out there. That's what was the most frustrating part. I said, I don't understand all these people out here and nobody saw anything and nobody heard anything. And that's the sight I will always have embedded in my heart, and will always have to live with a mother's or parents' worst nightmare, to see their child, die before them, and to die in that manner. It was just very disheartening.
On June 7th, 2003, 23-year-old victim Torrey Jones was shot twice in the upper torso while walking east on Chase Street in Canoga Park. There's been no other witnesses that have come forward to say that they observed anything that actually happened that night. There were several witnesses who have heard and have given some of the timeline before and after, but only the one witness that was with Mr. Jones was actually witness to the murder.
Witnesses in this case have described the suspect as a male African American. At the time was 30 to 32 years of age, approximately 6 foot tall, about 200 pounds, a muscular build. He had close cropped hair or maybe a short haircut, may have had a scar on his face, unknown clothing description.
Exactly 1 year and 1 day of Torrey's death, my husband, the father of my children, had also passed from colon cancer. And the very grave that I had bought, it was a double grave that I had bought for my husband and for myself, I had to open up the following year. I had to open up that same grave to put my child there. That wasn't supposed to be for Torrey. That was supposed to be for Mommy and Daddy. I look at it in two ways. In the natural, I look at it as, you know, someone very dear to me has been taken. I was very angry for a while. Because I am a believer, I overcame that pain of being angry. During the time that I was preparing for Torrey's homegoing service, there was a moment when I was by myself in the bedroom and I just started praying. I said, okay, Lord, I don't know what this means, but I still trust you. I still give you glory. And I'm just going to look at this in the spiritual aspect of what good came out of this tragedy, and what more can I do as a mother or as a believer, as your servant, to help others that have been through this, or to somehow prevent someone else from doing this type of act so that another family wouldn't have to experience what we've been through. And I pray, and as the Lord, I just ask that there just be one person at Torrey's homegoing celebration that will come to you. And that happened. Not only was there one, but I got the report there was hundreds of people that stood up. Young people who perhaps had never been to church before. Young people who maybe, if they were really sincere in their hearts, really accepted Christ. So that's part of my healing, that I believe God answered my prayer. He also gave me a ministry that was birthed out of this pain, which is called Love One Another Outreach. What we do is just simply go out to the communities and try to bring young people together and to give them a message, this is what's happening in my community. Either I've got to help make a change, or I have to change myself because I'm part of the problem, and I want to be part of the solution. It's therapy for me. It helps kind of fill the void, to reach out, to try to help make a difference.
So it's been 8 years, and this case is still being actively pursued and worked with the very limited details we have. If anyone out there does have information in regards to this case, they can call the Devonshire Division of the LAPD. A $25,000 reward was issued by the LA City Council for information leading to the arrest and/or conviction of the suspects in this case.
Torrey Jones never got to pursue his career. He never got to get married or be a father, and he didn't deserve to die that night. And although nothing will bring him back, you can help his family move forward. Police are looking for a black man about 200 pounds. He'd be in his late 30s or early 40s now. He has a scar on his face. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Crime Stoppers Case Files. Remember, we are here every week with more crimes and more families needing answers. These are your neighbors. This is your community, and you can make a difference.